What if the next global basketball movie isn't about humans? It's about a goat, and it's not even about basketball. Today I'm talking about GOAT, the new animated sports movie from Sony Pictures Animation and produced by NBA Superstar Steph Curry. At first glance, it looks like a simple kids movie, talking animals playing fictional version of basketball, sure. But once you get past the surface, this film might actually be the closest thing this generation has to a new Space Jam. A colourful, high-energy sports movie designed to introduce kids around the world to basketball culture, and honestly, it works. So let's break it down. The story follows Will, a small goat with enormous dreams. In the world of the movie, animals compete in a professional sport called Raw Ball, a fast, full-contact game that's basically basketball turned up to 11. Raw Ball is dominated by the biggest and strongest animals, rhinos, horses, panthers, just to name a few. So when a small goat gets a chance to join the professional team, the Vineyard Thorns, nobody takes him seriously, but Will refuses to accept that size determines greatness, and his goal? To prove that smalls can ball. Along the way, he teams up with his childhood hero Jet, a legendary panther playing near the end of her career, and together they turn around a struggling team while Will fights to prove that he belongs in the big league. It's a classic sports underdog story, but wrapped in a crazy animated world where animals dunk over themselves, dunk over lava pits, playing games in extreme arenas, and honestly, it's pretty fun, even for adults. The movie's directed by animation veteran Tyree Dillahay, who's known for Bob's Burgers, and produced by Steph Curry himself through his production company Unanimous Media, which should immediately tell you what the mission of the film is, and it's clearly a love letter to basketball. The voice cast is stacked. You have leading the film is Caleb McLaughlin as Will, with supporting voices from Gabrielle Union, Nick Kroll, David Harbour, Nicola Coughlan, Jennifer Hudson, and Steph Curry himself. The film's only just been released internationally after being premiered in LA in early 2026. It opened in US cinemas around the NBA All-Star weekend, which probably wasn't an accident, and Sony knew exactly who this movie was for: kids, basketball fans, and future basketball fans. And critically, so far, GOAT's been pretty well received overall. The film holds roughly 82-83% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes, and audiences rate it even higher. And some critics have praised the movie's originality and its energy. It's been called a vibrant surprise and a rousing animated sports fable, and others have highlighted the animation style, which draws comparisons to the visual energy Sony used in the Spider-Verse films. And the consensus? It's a fairly familiar underdog story, but one that delivers enough style, humour, and heart to make it work. And honestly, it's kind of the perfect formula for a sports movie, and I found myself bopping to the music during some of the montages, which I think rivals some of the best in the biz. When I was a kid, Space Jam was everywhere. It wasn't just a movie, it was like a gateway drug to basketball. Kids who had never watched basketball suddenly knew who Michael Jordan was. They were wearing jerseys, playing basketball at school, buying every piece of merch imaginable. And watching GOAT, I had the feeling that this might be that movie for today's kids. The film's full of basketball culture, sneakers, street courts, fast-paced gameplay, music and fashion tied directly to modern sports culture, and because the characters are animals instead of real NBA players, the story becomes almost universal, so kids in Australia, Europe, Asia, Africa can all watch it and connect with the same message that you don't need to be the biggest player on the court to be great. For me, the biggest highlight of this movie is the animation during the game sequences. The Raw Ball matches are chaotic, fast, and at times pretty ridiculous, but in a good way. Players crash through arenas, they leap across impossible obstacles, pull off moves that feel like a video game highlight reel, and critics have noted that the animation is colourful and kinetic, bringing the animal world to life in a way that makes the sport feel unique. It's basically basketball, but it's turned into an extreme sport, and for younger audiences, it'll make the game feel huge. One thing that clearly stood out to me watching the movie is that it's clearly trying to grow the sport. Basketball is already one of the biggest sports worldwide, but movies like this can introduce the game to kids who might have never watched the NBA. A kid might watch GOAT, laugh at the characters, love the big game moments, then go outside and start shooting hoops, and that's exactly the same ripple effect that some sports movies have had back in the past. You think about Space Jam, The Mighty Ducks, Remember the Titans. These films didn't just entertain, they made kids want to play sport, and GOAT might do the same thing for basketball today. Is GOAT the greatest animated sports movie ever made? Probably not, but it doesn't really need to be. What it does deliver is a fun underdog story, it's energetic animation, you can tell it's a love letter to basketball and its culture, and it's a movie designed to inspire younger audiences. And sometimes that's exactly what sports movies are supposed to do. If you grew up loving Space Jam, then there's a good chance that kids today might look back at GOAT the same way. A loud, colourful, slightly ridiculous basketball movie that made them fall in love with the game. So what do you think? Is GOAT the next big basketball movie for the new generation? Or is it just another animated sports film? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoy film reviews, movie news, deep dives in the industry, make sure to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.